Welcome to a brief presentation on how to close every sale every time. What we'd like to do in the next couple minutes is just give you a brief overview of our executive briefing and why it might or might not be beneficial for you to attend. What we have found in the years that we have worked with different companies is that most companies fall into one of two categories. Some companies are what we like to call peak performance companies or have peak performance sales teams. Well, what does a peak performance sales team look like? Peak performance sales team typically is made up of experienced salespeople. They stay for a good period of time and they don't really turn over very frequently. They have a funnel full of qualified prospects and they're consistently, the entire sales team and each individual person is always exceeding their quota, and their closing ratio typically falls in the range of 80% or higher. If your company has a peak performance sales team, our executive briefing on how to close every sale every time may not be for you, because what we're really doing is we're putting together a program to help those companies become peak performance sales teams. So if you already are a company that has a peak performance sales teams, congratulations, and you may not need to go any further in this presentation. Now, there's other companies out there who are underachieving and their sales team is kind of underachieving. What do their sales teams look like? Well, they typically have a little bit more of a negative attitude because they're dissatisfied with sales, because sales is really hard work and they're struggling. Staff turns over more frequently. They don't have enough qualified prospects because they're constantly burning through their funnel. Their salespeople sometimes make quota, sometimes don't make quota, or some of the salespeople do and a lot of the salespeople don't. And their closing ratio is 35%, 30%, 25%, or even lower. So if you have any of these issues as a salesperson or with your sales team, then you may get a tremendous amount of value from attending our executive briefing on closing every sale. So where does all this come from? What do underachieving sales teams have in common? Well, having done this for over 30 years, one of the things that I found training with tens of thousands of salespeople is there's a commonality, and the commonality that I see very frequently is they bought into the lie that sales is a numbers game. If you've ever heard that or you've ever used that, who says that sales is a numbers game? Well, I can tell you who says sales is a numbers game. People who aren't selling say sales is a numbers game. And what we need to do is we need to create an entirely new paradigm and get away from this thought process that sales is a numbers game. It's time to establish a brand new paradigm, and what that paradigm says is we need to close every sale every time. If you have a qualified prospect and that prospect is in a situation to make a buying decision and you do the right things the right way, you should get the right results every single time. And if you're not getting the right results, it's because you're not doing the right things the right way. So we're going to spend some time with you in a 1.5 hour executive briefing, and we want to share with you a lot of different things. This is not a sales pitch. This is not us trying to sell our products or services. This is us trying to get out there and establish that new paradigm and get companies to get to the point where they're moving in the direction of becoming one of those peak performance companies. So what are we going to share with you in this executive briefing? We're going to share with you a process that is replicable, that you can utilize over and over and over again to get the results that you want. We're going to help you understand exactly when to close, because knowing when to close is much more important than knowing how to close. But we are going to talk to you about how people make buying decisions and how you need to present your information in such a way that you sell to both the logical and the emotional parts of the brain. We're also going to share with you how do you close those larger sales, because there's a little bit different psychology involved when people are spending more money. So we're going to share with you some tips and techniques on how to close those bigger sales. We're going to teach you the 7 most important words, when to use them and how to use them in order to make sure that you close the sale. We're going to give you the top 10 power closes that get the best possible results every single time. And there's going to be a lot more. This is an hour and a half of absolutely action-packed, and it's going to be in such a way that you're going to walk out of there with valuable content and information that you can begin to apply to start working towards that peak performance immediately. So one of the things that happens many times is people ask the question, well, why do you do this executive briefing? What's in it for TigerQuest that makes you want to do this executive briefing? And quite simply, the answer to that is we want to be in a situation where we are going to offer you this to you at no charge. So there's absolutely no charge whatsoever. The only thing we're going to get from it, because people want to know, what does TigerQuest get from it? What's in it for us? The only thing we're going to get from it is we're going to get to meet people who sometimes say, you know, I'd like to continue this relationship. This has been a fantastic hour and a half, and I'd like to continue that relationship. But if you don't want to, that's great. We want you to walk out of there changing the paradigm, whether you want to continue to do business with us or not. Another question we hear fairly often is, what is the focus of the briefing? The absolute positive focus of the briefing is sharing with you information that you need to know to close every sale every time. Now, what happens after the briefing? Well, we offer you the opportunity for a one-on-one meeting. If you'd like to meet with one of our coaches and talk about how we can continue a relationship, great. If that doesn't make sense to you at this point in time, well, that's great too. We can accept no as graciously as a yes, and we're just excited to be spreading the gospel of the new paradigm of closing every sale every time. So in conclusion, if you made it this far in the presentation, then this was a good fit for you. It's time to create a new paradigm. So as a next step, we recommend that you get registered right away. We're only going to put 15 people in a room. That's as many as we can handle. If you're, sign up to attend, the only thing that we ask is that you definitely attend, because if you're not going to attend, we want to give your seat to someone else who will be attending. So go ahead right now, register, get yourself set up to move forward and create this new paradigm as quickly as you possibly can.